I text.
Sparking Change with Gigi, a show that aims to make the world a better place by bringing together authentic minds. This show encourages each of us to be the change we wish to see in the world. Get ready to be inspired and join us on this journey to create a brighter future for all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sparking Change with Gigi. I'm your host, Giovanna Tartarone, and today we're going to be talking to Flory Hiatrides. She is the creator of The Awe, Discovering Your Missing Piece. And I had the pleasure of meeting Flory and the work that she does, and I was definitely in awe because it truly opens up the heart. And knowing that we are meant for so much more, and the way she teaches it and the way she created her curriculum just really left me with so much love for what you do. So Flory, welcome to Spark and Change with Gigi. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
I would love to hear how you got into it and all the work that you do, and to really share with the audience how important it is to step into our gifts, because that's what you made your people realize. When I was there training, like they were in awe to understand that it's their thinking, that if we think a different way, we can definitely step into our power. So let's talk about that.
Listen, I never thought of naming my company Sparking Change, but it could have been, because it really is the momentum behind it. The name of my company is A Wakened Events. I say it that way because Awakened Events abbreviated is AWE, which is awe. Yes. And I mean, who doesn't want to live in awe? And if you ask people, have they ever been in awe? They will tell you about these profound moments. It could be a sunset. It could be a simple thing with your child. But when you are in awe, you are free. You are creative. And so I have created a company that enables you to be literally in awe when you're at a seminar. But a quick about my backstory, because I do think my story is a little bit different, and I lend some unique perspectives to this world of ethereal, spiritual, being the best you can, because I come from a very scientific, quantitative background. And I think many people in that world think that what we're talking about is up in the clouds. So I really feel like I'm a bridge between this mindful world and this business world. I stay away from the word spiritual simply because some people think that's a little bit, woo-woo or whatever they perceive it as. So I'm going to use the terms mindfulness to be this umbrella of discovering your full potential. And I'm going to say professional or business, right? So my background up until the age of 40 was all mathematical and analytical. My education is, my undergraduate's math and computer science. My MBA is finance, and I have 2 doctorates. Everything is in analytics and deduction. So I was not in the mindful camp. I was in the see it and believe it camp, right? I was trained to solve, fix, equate, and say, I'm done. And then you know what happens. Life says, not so much. And, it beats you up a little bit. And that happened for me when I turned 40. Yeah. So when I turned 40, I was selling my company. And by the way, I've never worked for anybody traditionally for anyone. I've always owned my own business. The company we're talking about today is my 3rd company, a compilation of everything. But the only reason I was selling my 2nd company is because I wanted to have a family. And we thought at that time that, I was working so much because, you own your own business, even though I don't like to call it work, but I was, passioning so much that it was going to be difficult to raise a child. So I decided to sell my company. So literally on April 7th of the year 2000, I remember the day, I was going to fly to Japan to sell my company. I was expecting a child, which is why I was selling my company. And on that very day, 3 traumas happened to me. My dad suddenly passed away, who I was very close to. I lost the baby, and I flew to Japan and sold my company. And the only reason I sold my company is because I was expecting a child. So you can imagine, I come back from Japan, no dad, no baby, no company. And the loss was so immense, and I didn't have the skills. I had equations and I had formulas, but none of them had these variables in them. And so I began a spiritual, mindful, proactive healing journey of my own.
Yes.
And that spanned, well, still spanning, right? Because it goes on forever. But about 20 years of reading every mindful spiritual book I could find, including Joe Dispenza, who talks about supernatural, including Deepak Chopra, who talks about being metahuman, including concepts about the Akashic field, which is our record of our life, including Esther and Jerry Hicks and Ask and It Is Given. I read everything I could get my hands on. And over time, healers like yourself, Francine, intuitives, I healed. But not only did I heal, because I'm a teacher, I realized I had to get this message out. I also realized some people in the business world do not accept or fully embrace these concepts. So I created curriculum that combines the two. And what I say is, up until 40, I lived an algorithmic kind of life. See it and then believe it. And I'm here to tell everyone, I'm sure they know, but I'm here to remind them that the real algorithm is you believe it and then you see it.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of the quick story. And what I think people think about is that mathematician and manifester are opposites. And boy, are they not. They seem it. But together, it has led me to be able to concretize the mathematician, concretize very ethereal, vague concepts and bring it in a very packaged way. Even my language, explaining it to you now, I can hear it pretty clearly, right?
Yes, absolutely. It makes so much sense. And that's, when I was there and I took your course, I felt that. I felt how the connection where people can understand it in a very simple way. We make things so difficult and they're really not. It's just being open to learning differently in a different way.
Yeah. And the irony is, I really do have a formula for the company because formulas are a nice way to represent things. So quite often I will use that. So you can see behind me, the missing piece acronym has 5 pieces because everything in your life fits in one of those 5.
Yes.
So physical, and it spells the word peace. So it's a homonym, it's an acronym, it's all the pieces. It's a holistic approach to happiness.
Yes.
So physical is your health and well-being. Emotional is your relationships. Aspirational is your goals. Aspire, reach for the sky. Cerebral is gray matter, your work or school. And ethereal is your spirit, your vibe. That's why I'm usually in yellow. These are our water bottles, yellow. So here's the real message, the simple message. Pain or joy in one of the pieces leads to pain or joy in all the pieces.
Yes.
So a very quick example of that. If right now, either of us, you or I, had a broken leg and it was throbbing, that is a physical pain, but it would affect all the other pieces and it would affect this conversation.
Absolutely.
And if tomorrow a realtor landed a $5 million contract, that's a cerebral joy. You bet they would have a better time with their kids on Saturday, which is emotional relationships. So what I want people to realize is this ability to manifest and the ability to have a life of synchronicity is not chance. It is not coincidence and it is not luck. It is intentional. And by looking at this 5 components, you can listen to my formula. You're going to like this. So the word awesome is a great word, right? Who doesn't want to be in awe and be awesome? P plus E plus A plus C plus E equal the awe sum, S-U-M. So the sum of the pieces of your life have to be aligned. And if you're mindful of each piece, you will be happy. You will be joyous. You will live in the vortex, as you can see the picture behind me, which is a creative state. All right, I'll let you ask me things because I could keep going.
So let's talk about the vortex, because that language to me was all new when I first began this work, right? I've had so many different words come into my life, but vortex was something that I needed to really understand what it is and how I could be in it, because my understanding is once you're in the vortex, you have more control of your life.
Once you are in the vortex, you are tuned in, turned on, tapped in. That means you are feeling on top of the world. even though people don't use that language all the time, they don't know it. They know when they're in it. So,
Right.
you just landed a big deal. Your kid said, I love you. You went on a great vacation. You had a great boat ride. You had great sex, whatever. You are feeling elated and you can do anything. But then life takes us in and out of this vortex. And if you want to create everything you desire, if you want to manifest, and people know the word manifest mean, I have a thought and I turn it into a thing. Right? If you want to do that, it's only happening when you're in the vortex. If you slip out into B, which is mediocrity or contentment, and if you go to C, which is anger and jealousy and hatred, you are not manifesting. So people say, Flory, I want to learn how to manifest. Number one reason or number one technique is understand the concept of the vortex and pay attention to your emotions, because that's how you know where you are.
Correct.
So emotions of the vortex are joy and happiness and elation. Emotions of hanging on to the vortex are contentment and satisfaction. And emotions that put you completely out are jealousy and anger and resentment. So you can know where you are based on how you feel. So the first thing I want to tell people who are listening, do a little inventory of your life. What percentage of your life are you in A, B, and C? Because if you tell me I'm in C 90% of the time because I hate my job, well, then manifestation is gone. So then you have to look at the pieces of your life. And you have to look at, here's the connection, Giovanna, between the vortex and the pieces. There might be one piece that's pulling you out more, right? Let's say your relationship is toxic. That means the emotional piece is taking you out. What if your job is toxic? That means the cerebral piece is taking you out. What if you haven't achieved a goal? You get the point of this. So you want to be aligned in all the pieces, and you want to pay attention to how often you're in the vortex, and you want to find the culprit for what's taking you out. Once you identify the culprit, then you can manage your thoughts. I have many techniques. So far, does that make sense?
That is beautiful, because again, what you're saying is you are, when you're in the vortex based on your feelings. And, when we spoke last, we understood that your beliefs, your emotions really guide our actions. And our actions are really based on what we're feeling, right? So when you mentioned about being out of the vortex and having the low vibrational feelings, we're not manifesting anything. And we're also, if we don't clean that up, right? If we don't address those things that are making us feel the low vibrations, we not only manifest in such a things, but even manifest happiness.
Well, it's all related
Right.
to happiness. The only reason we want things is because we think they'll make us happy. So the real goal for everyone is happiness. And I want to mention one thing about, manifesting. Manifesting is really a reflection of your thoughts. Synchronicity, which looks coincidental, is a return. So you're going to love this, right? Everyone out there who's a business person knows ROI to be return on investment.
On equity investment, right?
Right, equity investment. And I'm a business person. I love that. But I've redefined that word to be even bigger. And that acronym now is ROI, return on intention.
I love that.
So if you want to know how good you're doing or how well you're doing at intentionizing, look at your life. If you are happy and getting everything you desire, then your return on intention is great. Keep going. If you don't like any of the pieces of your life, it starts with your intention. And I'm big on props, as you know now, because you came to my house. I have a lot of props around me.
Yes,
but here's one of my favorites, right? This is a slingshot. And if you want a slingshot to go far, you have to pull it back far. If you pull it back a little, it's not going to go far. But if I pull it back a lot and then release it, it's going to go far. So many times when we are out of the vortex, a simple technique to get back in other words, this is out of the vortex, right? A simple technique is to remind yourself that you are not being set back. You are being set up. So
explain that.
Right. In other words, whatever you're going through, a cancer diagnosis, kids that are having trouble, an illness, a tough job at work, whatever it is, you're going to learn from that, and you're going to use that to propel you forward. So you're not being set back, you're being set up. That reframing of your thoughts is a game changer. It'll move you right back in the vortex. And I have a little technique for that. So I'm big on take home value, right? It's not enough to know, you have to know how. So a few tips. I'll always remind everyone when like a takeaway is coming, because we're having a good conversation.
Yes, yes.
Here's a very clear takeaway. Any situation that feels like it's pulling you back, taking you out of the vortex, negative, whatever phrase you want to use.
Yes.
You need to do these three things: why, what, and wonder. That's my 3 steps. So here it goes. Why me? Okay, get it over with, right? Commiserate for 3 seconds. Why did I have to get the flat tire? Okay, fine. Why? What can I learn? Now, a lot of people kind of know that one. What can I learn? But the last one is the additional bonus. Wonder. I wonder if I project out a few months or years, how this setback is a setup. I wonder. Get crazy creative. And
use your imagination.
That's right, because your imagination is manifestation.
Yes. Yes.
Very cool.
And you know, I love that. I love that. It's definitely a way to stop thinking of the past, right? It's a way to help you move forward and say, because everything that we experience, there's a lesson in it. It doesn't matter if you're going to the supermarket and you're online for an hour to buy milk. There's a reason for it, right? We don't think of it that way. We just think, oh, we're in a rush because life takes us on autopilot. So I love the fact that we need to take the time to truly be mindful of why, the 3 W's, like you just said, because then we're not trapped. We're not trapped.
You just said it. Everyone knows, oh yeah, there's a lesson, but in the moment you don't feel like there's a lesson. So that's why the creative part of you has to kick in. Really get crazy on how this could turn into something good. And it really is a great, technique. And I love when you said, autopilot. If you know anything from Joe Dispenza, he's like, we're just playing the same story. Esther Hicks says, tell yourself a new story. You're just playing the same tape. And by the way, we have 60,000 thoughts a day. And for the average person, 55,192 are negative, which means 92%. And that's why one of my favorite posters.
Oh my God, right? Oh my goodness, if I wish I can show you a little kitten and a big tiger. It says exactly the same thing. I'm looking at it. Mindset is everything. Yeah. And
it's not just one thing, right? It's absolutely everything. They have proven scientifically, for my business scientists out there, because I appeal to the evidence, right? Not just what somebody's saying, but evidence. Joe Dispenza connects people to, electronic brain waves. And when you're thinking positively, your cells are regenerating. And when you are thinking negatively, you are degenerating. So there is proof. If you hang around negative people, if you're out of the vortex most of the day, if you feel lousy, if you are complaining, if you are whining, you are oxidizing.
Yes.
You are aging. And, I'm also, I didn't mention it yet, but I'm also a nutritionist and health counselor. And I did that because I had my children in my 40s and I needed to be very healthy. And I went to 2 years of education on health and nutrition. And we talked a lot about antioxidants, right?
Yes.
Antioxidants are, most people will call it like blueberries. But I'm here to tell you the best antioxidants is happy thoughts and good people that keep you uplifted. You can eat blueberries until you're literally purple. And if you're thinking negative thoughts, you're aging. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to take a short commercial break and then we're going to come back. And I really want to get into this, these teachings that you're doing, these courses that you're doing, because they were life-changing. Right in front of my eyes, I saw people transform, open their eyes and cry to know that they can have so much more. So we'll be right back, everyone.
Now, the vast majority, approximately 95% of the people of all countries, go around and around without aim or purpose. They drift with the circumstances of life, good or bad.
A drifter is one who permits himself to be influenced and controlled by circumstances outside of his own mind.
Whereas the successful individuals create their own circumstances and ride them to victory.
When you're on purpose, you're living on purpose. You will never quit if you have a real purpose.
A burning desire to be and to do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. But what I have done has been recorded, it's been tested, it's being taken to a free world, and it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born.
And it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born. We're some of those people that we're spreading this to the world. As your awareness grows, the doubt is gone so that you can manifest whatever it is your heart desires. Isn't that beautiful?
Welcome back, everyone. So we were talking about manifesting, right? And here it is, the commercial. Again, no accident, no coincidence to say, once we do have control really of the mind, right, where the thoughts are generated, we can truly create the life that we want.
Yeah, listen, you were promoting Napoleon Hill. He's the OG. You know, he's the OG of law of attraction and Think and Grow Rich. You know, these are cornerstone concepts that have been around for a very long time.
Right.
We are now, based on a lot of what's gone on in our world and society and COVID in the last few years, you know, people are starting to literally wake up, literally open their eyes and say, I'm not happy not being happy. You know, I'm not happy being in pain. I'm not happy not being in the vortex. And I'm going to change it. The younger generation is demanding happiness. I love it. We attract so many young people to our seminars. It's fabulous.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree. So let's talk about your seminars, because I truly feel that it's a pot of gold. So we need to share.
And that's also yellow, right? Gold.
That's right. So, I love it.
As I mentioned, my strength in being a scientist allows me to concretize this material. So the ethereal piece, for example, which is very vague to people on how literally can I change my thoughts? Like, how can I do that? I get a negative thought, like how? So we have a lot of techniques, and I'll share one or two before this ends. But the reason my courses are so powerful is because we give very concrete tools. Because there's two parts to education: being motivated and then applying the knowledge. And
Absolutely.
Many times people get motivated, but then they can't apply it because it wasn't concrete enough. You know, one of the sayings in education is topics aren't taught, they're caught. And they're only caught if the quarterback throws a good pass. So you don't want your students having to go crazy to catch the ball. And I don't. I package the content so I can throw the ball, you can catch it, and you can use the content immediately to make changes. My real goal is a one-year academy for young people instead of college, before or after college. Because listen, I have kids in college. I have twins that are in school, and they're having a great time. But literally, are they learning life skills? Not all the time. So we have courses that cover all 5 pieces in one day to give you an overview. And the name of the courses are really very intentional. The missing piece. The second course is the centerpiece. And the third course, like a meal, is the masterpiece. And then we have courses in each of the pieces. So if you want a full day on health and wellness, a full day on healing modalities, and you could see how this curriculum academy is being born. Yep. And one of my favorite sayings, well, I have so many, but one of my favorite ones is, you can't make a move you don't have. This is a chess piece. So if you want to make a move, I want to think better thoughts. I am introverted, but I want to be extroverted. We can talk about that too. I have negative people in my life, but I don't want to have them anymore. You got to make a move. But guess what? If you don't have a skill, you can't make the move. So an introvert can't be extroverted if they don't know how. And you can't change your thoughts if you don't know how. So it's all about the moves. So I am as much about the thoughts and the mindfulness as I am inspired action.
I was going to say it's all about action, and you just took the word out of my mouth. Exactly.
Intentional action. You know, what we just listened to, they were talking about aim and purpose and live your life on purpose. That's
right.
sparking change. That's awakened events. That's wake up. That's live a life by design, not default. We're all saying the same thing. But after the intention, you need action and skills. So my real strength is being able to give people both of those in a condensed period of time.
Beautiful, beautiful. And, you know, I came to your, and I love the fact that you've opened up your home to do this. You know, that to me shows a real commitment and a passion. Um, I remember coming in and I said, I need to use the ladies' room. You're like, go upstairs in my bedroom. Like, you truly, when I say opened up your home, you opened up your home. And to me, that's like open up your heart. Why? Because I see that there is all, again, the intention behind what you're doing is helping people to discover that they truly can be happy if they make the decision to change.
You know, it's so true. It's everyone thinks it's your circumstance. I was born to a blue collar, middle class family. I'm first generation college, and I went to college because I got a scholarship. My dad was a truck driver. My mom was a bookkeeper. Amazing parents, but not financially abundant, abundant in other areas. And I have such a level of gratitude and appreciation for the life I have created. And raising children, Giovanna, with these concepts is a game changer. When children know, my children know they're creating tomorrow by what they think and do today. They know that. They know that what shows up in their life, they asked for. It is an incredible way. So we're also starting to do more parenting seminars. I keep going back to, as an example, the introvert extrovert. But imagine, most people know what that means, but I'll just define it in language. Introverted people get their energy internally. Extroverted people get their energy externally. It doesn't mean introverted people don't like parties. It means after the party, they want to refresh and rejuvenate by themselves.
Right.
An extrovert can walk into a party tired, and then the party gives them energy. So without going into too much detail, a simple example is, what if we have two introverted parents? They're unaware that they're introverted, because most people are unaware. We call it emotional intelligence. Most people don't have emotional intelligence. They haven't been taught it. They're not aware.
Right.
You're not aware of being aware. Well, then you just can only be who you are.
Correct.
So if you have introverted parents raising an extroverted child, that extroverted child is not going to fully embrace who they are. They're not going to be in the vortex. They're not being rewarded for their natural personality. It's a game changer.
Absolutely. And, you know, this information is so vital to our future, the future of our children, right? The future of the next generation and the world as a whole, because I truly know without a doubt, each and every one of us are part of the whole.
And
Right.
that's why I even like the word masterpiece, because once you master peace, which way? That way, your life becomes a masterpiece, and we are all piece of the master. So it just is coming at it from every angle. I have another formula I'd like to share. Can I do that?
Sure, absolutely.
Because even though some of them are, you know, vague, the formula kind of boils it down a little bit. So in formulas are variables. Those are the components. My formula that I'm going to give you is for synchronicity. I'm giving a talk next week on synchronicity. So I had to think about it. And I realized synchronicity is the same thing as manifestation. Because when synchronicity shows up, it looks like it's an accident, but of course you have created it. So another way of saying it, and by the way, that's a teaching technique, right? You say the same thing different ways.
Sure.
So synchronicity means you are living an intentional life where you are bringing into your existence exactly what you want. And it looks synchronous, but it's really divinely intentional. So how do I live a synchronous life? So I've been thinking about it, and I came up with a formula. And my formula has 5 variables. So I'm going to say it, and then I'll break it down. And that's a good talking point for us.
Yes.
If you want to have synchronicity in your life, it is equal to your emotional intelligence, combined with how often you are aligned, raised to a power of your vibration, minus your negative thoughts, and divided by your limiting beliefs. So a very simple way of saying that is, the less limiting beliefs and negative thoughts you have, the more synchronous your life will be. Not as simple, because you also need to be aligned and have emotional intelligence and understand vibration. So those were my 5 variables. And if we kind of talk about each one, then you have the formula. You pay attention to that formula in each of the pieces, and success and happiness is an outgrowth, a normal outgrowth. You don't even have to work at it, but you got to work in the beginning at the formula. You've got to look at the variables separately. What do you
And
think?
you know what, as you were saying that, what comes to mind is that this is all an inside job, right? Who are we looking at someone outside of us to change our emotions or to change our beliefs? No, this is all an internal process that requires us to get quiet, still, whatever word you want to use, meditate, to question, why am I feeling this way? Why do I believe this? Is it really true? So this inner work is part of this formula that you're speaking about, in order to actually see the impact of how you can really transform your life.
It is. And let's look at the first 3 variables, the positive ones, right? So there were 3 positive ones: emotional intelligence, alignment, vibration, and then 2 that we don't want: negative thoughts and limiting beliefs. So that's it, the 5 variables. Let's look at them in lieu of what you just said. Emotional intelligence is the ability to be aware of who you are and the ability to authentically adjust who you are. That's an inside job, right? I have to be aware I'm an introvert, but in this situation, I want to be a little more extroverted. Or I am an inventor, big picture person, but at this moment, I've got to implement. Whatever it might be, that's your emotional intelligence. I have twins in college, as I've mentioned. Emotional intelligence means I don't call them every 10 minutes, even though I want to, right? In other words, I am aware what they're needing and I am reacting. So that's emotional intelligence. It starts with you. The next thing I said is you have to add to that how aligned you are. So let me give everyone another big takeaway. When it comes to alignment, there are 4 things you have to look at: thoughts, words, actions, and beliefs. And they lead to each other. So you don't start by changing your actions, because your actions are coming from somewhere deeper. Right? You don't even start with your words. You start with your beliefs, and then your thoughts and your words and your actions. All of those have to be going in the same direction. So if you want to manifest abundance, you cannot work like an animal, but think you are not worthy. That is the universe is going to be like, you're confusing me and I'm not helping you. The universe will deliver, but you got to be crystal clear. I'll give you another example. I want to lose weight. I want to be healthier. And then we're not eating mindfully. So if you are out of sync, then the universe is going to throw their hands up.
So I'll add to that, to respect of our subconscious mind, right? It's below consciousness, and understanding that when we spoke about when we're on autopilot before, well, autopilot means we're doing things unconscious, right? It's happening automatic. Brushing your teeth, getting up in the morning, getting dressed, all of that happens automatically. Well, we do have those beliefs that are in our subconscious mind that we need. I know for me, I needed to go through that process of asking, did I create that belief? Is it really true? And even when we talk about self-worth, right? Many, and I've seen it as a teacher in elementary school, where kids at a very young age feel like they're not good at something. And that becomes so strong subconsciously. They feel that in, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, and that goes into adulthood. And with that mindset, that is a belief that they're not, again, worthy, affects their outcome, the results in their life. So,
and that the limiting beliefs were the denominator, right? So all that goodness in the numerator gets divided by those negative beliefs, because they're going to find their way and sabotage everything.
That's right.
Right? So if you're emotionally intelligent, variable 1, and you are aligned, variable 2, in thoughts, words, actions, and beliefs, raised to a power of vibration, are you trying to reframe your thoughts, get rid of the negative thoughts and divide by the limiting beliefs? But let me give you an example, a very concrete example of someone who was in my class a few weeks ago with a limiting belief that we had to find. She, in the seminar, discovered where it came from. She never thought it was a limiting belief. That's the trick. We just think they're beliefs. We think they're facts. We think they're law. And you know what beliefs are? Things we've been thinking a long time. That's all they are.
And let's spell the word believe right in the middle of it. It's L-I-E, a lie, unless
Right.
it came from you. But anyway, let's continue.
And I say B-E, leave. Get out. Leave it.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
we were doing Myers-Briggs, which is one of my favorite instruments, the MBTI, which helps people with introversion, extroversion. And she said, oh my God, Flory, I know where my limiting beliefs about speaking up comes from now, that I am not worthy to speak up. When I was younger, she goes, I'm introverted. And what we talk about is if you're emotionally intelligent, it's great to be introverted, it's great to be extroverted. It doesn't matter as long as you are aware. So she said her mom was very extroverted. And when she introduced her, I'll use a different name, Miriam, she would say, this is my daughter, Miriam. Don't mind her. She's very shy. Now that does sound negative, right?
Right.
And Miriam didn't think it was negative. She just thought it was factual. I'm shy and that's why I don't talk. But she internalized it as I'm not worthy. She's a 46-year-old woman now. She never thought of that, but for her whole childhood, shy was negative. And let me tell you something. I would love to have a shy salesman, right? What does that mean? Reflective and introverted, but she had such a negative connotation. And now she's like, wow, shy is not a negative thing. My mom thought it was negative. So that's where her belief came from. You said the exact right question. I mean, the comment about questioning is you have to question. That's another one of my props, my tweezers, right? You got to go in deep and ask yourself those questions. Are these beliefs that are serving me, or are they hurting my equation? Right?
You know, yes, and I love that. You know, one of the studies that I went through was really understanding how to change the subconscious beliefs. And, you know, it's all energy, right? Belief becomes thoughts, and thoughts are really an energy form. And I go into that because it's not hard. People say, oh my God, I can never change this belief. No, you can. There's so many different ways, whether it's auto-suggestion, you have a few tips on how to do it. And I do it with energy work. They can be changed. Here's the most important question. Are you willing to change them? Because it really takes a commitment to know that, you know, all your life, 10, 20, 30 years, you believed X, Y, Z. And now it's like knowing, oh, wait a minute, it's not true, you know? And I feel that this is where your work helps people, not just one little component, but really understanding how it affects the whole picture.
Right. So think about the pieces, right? Let's go through each one. We could come up with a limiting belief for each one, right? So physical, right? For a lot of women, they're like, I will never be able to lose weight. Right? I've been overweight my entire life. I lost 70 pounds as a young person. So I was a very heavy teenager. I am not a big frame. 70 pounds was a lot of weight. And before I could lose the weight, I had to change the mindset that I could. So exactly that. So that's a limiting belief. What about my relationship? I don't deserve love. I'm never going to find a partner that loves me unconditionally. Aspirational is goals. I'll never get that big account, right? Work. I'm not going to be happy at my job. I'm not going to find my passion. I can't afford to quit and start my own business. These are all of it. What I'm getting at too is not only do we want you to identify your limiting beliefs, we want you to identify which piece of the puzzle it's in, because that gives you a starting point.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I have another great analogy because I live on a lake and I have a boat. It just came out of the water. But in the summer, when I look out my window and I look at the boat, we put the boat up on a lift. So I look out at the boat and there's a lot of waves, but the boat's not moving because the boat is on a lift. If you live your life aligned, if you live your life in the vortex, you are the boat on the lift. If you don't live a life aligned, you are the boat that is in the water moving around with the waves. My mom said something that upset me. My kid's room is messy. If all of that upsets you and knocks you out of your zone, you're allowing it. It's your choice. And one more thing, this is how it's combined to limiting beliefs. I don't think I've ever said it this clearly. Listen to this. If someone says something that you perceive as negative, it's because it's ringing a bell in you. It's touching something that you haven't looked at, because otherwise it would not bother you. So
I love that. That's so true. That
if
is so
someone
true.
says, did you gain weight? I mean, that's the worst thing you can say to anybody. But if someone says it to you and you're comfortable in your body and you haven't gained weight, or you have, or you don't care, or you design, whatever, it would roll right off your back. But if it's striking a chord, that's something to look at. So we want to be the boat on the lift. I love that analogy. And when I wake up in the morning, I look at it and I'm like, I'm going to be the boat on the lift. But here's how the pieces connect. If you're exhausted, if you haven't eaten, if you're hungover, if you haven't slept, you're not going to be the boat on the lift, because your body is not coming to the party. So these pieces are not balanced. They are integrated. That's very important, that these pieces are integrated. Oh, I love this conversation.
Beautiful. Oh, it's absolutely wonderful how you can relate, like simple things like that to our lives, right? We don't make the connection. I was reading something the other day, which it said, and this is about the mind, how the mind is so powerful. It said, when we're young and we're 5, 6 years old and we're thinking about the boogeyman, right? And the imagination creates all this boogeyman's going to come and get us. And we get like literally emotionally aroused from just thinking, and we get scared. And then as we get older, so we put this picture in our mind, because I know we think in pictures, right? We think in pictures. We cannot think about something without having that picture come up in our mind. So when we're young, we're thinking about this boogeyman that really is creating the emotional impact within us. And we don't see it, but we create the picture like he's there. And then as we get older, somebody says to you and talks about the boogeyman, you're like, yeah, right, whatever. We don't let it affect us anymore. So it's the knowledge and the awareness that brings light to any dark situation.
As long as you are intentional and aware. I want people to, when they end this meeting with us, this creation with us, I want them to look at all the pieces of your life, see which is the squeaky one. Where's the culprit? Is there one that's having more issue? Then I want them to look at their thoughts, words, actions, and beliefs about that topic.
Yes.
And then I want them to really pay attention to what they think about. Because, when people get a thought, they think it's fact. And a thought is just a thought. I can think anything I want. Another visual, one of my favorites, is my colander. Because we go through our day, or we could go through our day, sorting and sifting. Does this serve me or does it not? Right. You get to choose. It is not happening to you. It's your choice. So I love these analogies, because I think people can really relate to the very specific, analogies. And they're like, yeah, that makes sense. I can understand that.
I love what you just said about sorting out your thoughts, because, you can hold on to a thought and literally let it manifest into something so big that puts you in that dark place. Doesn't make you get that job. That, will create things from nothing. And
it's unbelievable. I'll give everyone another good takeaway. One of the number one ways to be aligned is to wake up in the morning before you fully jumped out of bed, a little bit in that twilight theta, and say to yourself, to the universe out loud even, I can't wait for you to surprise me today. I can't wait to see how I'm going to receive what I'm asking for. And I say that every morning. And I'm going to give you a very concrete example. I've been teaching for 45 years. I started when I was 18. I just turned 63. And I want to teach until I'm 100. And a few years ago, I said, wow, universe, you're going to have to help me because I cannot envision how I can teach until my 80s because driving to Manhattan, carrying the boxes, all the posters, it's a young woman's game. And as much energy as I have, 80 is 80. And I said, I can't wait for you to show me how I'm going to teach into my 90s and 80s and hundreds and whatever. And then the idea came to me about doing seminars at my house. And I was like, thank you. Thank you for showing me. And the gratitude is also important. When the universe delivers, you know what people say? Oh, that was coincidence. No. You created it, and take ownership and thank the universe because then it will continue to give it to you.
Let's talk about taking ownership, because that is another big piece of the puzzle that I believe when we can truly, honestly, within ourselves say, that occurred because of me. I created that, whatever it may be, good or bad, right? When we can take that ownership, I believe it opens up the door. I'm not going to say I believe, I know it opens up the doors to acknowledge something that can help us to heal from it. It can help us to move forward from it. Throwing things under the rug or blaming somebody else for things that happened in your life and not taking any accountability, I believe creates the low emotions.
Yeah. And the technique to take ownership is what if. If you're in an argument with someone, not what if they were right, because what is right? I don't even know what that is. I mean, there are some laws, right and wrong, but beyond that, there's really no right and wrong. What if that person was right in thinking that for themselves? What if that person really sees it that way? What if they're really not trying to piss me off? They're really just being unaware. What if? All you have to do is say what if, and then it becomes a very different game.
I love that. You almost detach yourself from that particular incident and don't label it negative or positive. You just leave it. And I did hear that from someone in my studies that said, water just is, right? It's either when you taste it, you decide to say, oh, this is delicious, or this has a funny taste. But everything just is. We decide to label what it is. So if our perception of the situation is good or bad, whatever we label it, then that is the foundation where other decisions are being made.
You just gave me something that I tell people quite often. My kids and I have this language now. Think of it when you call someone, I've got bad news. Now you've already set, everybody's out of the vortex and we're all waiting for the world to fall down. Now, okay, some things are tragic and might want to say it for that. For the average thing, maybe it's bad news for you. It's not bad news for me. Maybe it's not even bad news for you. So the language now is, hey, Mom, I've got news. It is a beautiful change, right? So one of my kids called me. They caught themselves, right? Mom, I got news. But I knew they had bad news in their head. And they were like, I didn't do well on a test. And after we talked about it, it led to them doing great next time because they studied differently. So now we're like, see, that wasn't bad news. That was perfect news. That was appropriate news. That was divine news. It was synchronous news. It was news. But you're exactly right. We get to pivot. We get to reframe. I got to show one more because I think we're ending our time soon, right?
We have a few more minutes left. I'm going to come. Oh, I love those glasses. Love him.
Right. So these are my rose-colored glasses. It doesn't mean not seeing reality. It means reshaping and choosing to see your thoughts through rose-colored glasses. When I was being raised, my parents were much older. So it was like the depression mentality. And it was always like, no, you have to live on this earth and you can't imagine things to be better. And you really have to fight. Those are limiting beliefs we were brought up with. We don't own those. They come from our ancestors who lived through terrible times. It is our job to raise our kids with these glasses. No matter what is happening, why, what wonder, I can reframe it. Here's another one of my favorite books. You can choose to zap people or sap them. and you zap them by the positive thoughts, and you sap yourself and others by the negative thoughts. It really begins and ends with the thoughts, and you got to practice in the beginning.
That's what Napoleon Hill says all the time. Thoughts become things. I will share with you. Oh my God, I had this in mind. I saw a demonstration one time where there was a clear glass of water, and in there and the clear glass of water was all positive thoughts. And then they took a teaspoon of espresso coffee, and they put it in the clear glass, and the teaspoon of coffee represent the negative thoughts. Okay. And if you can visualize this, it took to get that water clear again, crystal clear, so many outpours of clean water. So just imagine your mind. Your mind can be full of great things, but one or two thoughts can shift your perception on life, and you make decisions based on, those negative thoughts. Don't need many, but to get back to, clear, good thoughts takes a lot more effort. It doesn't take much to bring in negative thoughts, right? Like you said before.
That's why Esther says something I like. She says, don't even pick up the stone, because we think we can pick it up, put the coffee in the water, and then get rid of it. She's like, stay away from it to begin with, because it's not that easy to put the stone down. In your case, get rid of the espresso. And yeah, I mean, how much, poison does it take? Very, very little to kill you if you put it in a cup of water. So, or in anything. It begins and ends with the mind. But what I want people to know is there are very specific techniques, and there are tools. There's hypnotherapy. There's better reaching thoughts. There's rose-colored glasses. They're understanding your personality type. There's love languages. There's so many tools that you can learn. So it is not like this vague reaching for. It is very concrete. And you can wake up, be joyous, live the life you want, and make any move that you want. Make whatever move you want. Be deliberate about your choices.
So let's take the last few minutes. Let's talk about your events a little bit, because I know they're awesome and they're life-changing, and I really want to bring it out to the world about the beautiful work that you do.
So we do virtual and in-person classes. We're starting to do more virtual because we're reaching people. As a matter of fact, we have some programs international. I've been doing virtuals with Cuba and Africa. So that's getting very exciting. For in-person or virtual local, we do 2 to 4 seminars a month. We have one Saturday, this Saturday, November 9th, and the next one will be in January. But if you go to the website, which is listed, you can find us. You can search and look at our Instagram. We do a lot of, I call them flowmans, because my name is Flory, and I share, very real life situations. I would love to have a conversation with you. You have nothing, I'm not going to try to hard sell you. I'm just going to talk with you. I mentioned, this is how I'm spending the rest of my life. The word universe, which is what delivers our messages, the first 3 letters are you and I, you and I. And the last 5 letters are verse, which is serve. So you and I serve. If we serve each other authentically, we will get what we desire. And I'm here to serve and help people in any way I can.
What a beautiful way to end it. It's so beautiful. And you are absolutely right. We're here to serve each other. And I call that being in alignment with our true purpose and what we're here to do. So if anyone is free this Saturday, please go on Flory's website and register. I know that your home is beautiful, and you open up your home to everyone, because this work truly is meant to share with the universe, and it is transformational. So I just want to thank you so much for all that you do, not just, coming on the show, but really pouring your heart out to help people see the best version of themselves and really move and have a happy life and move in a positive direction. So thank you, everyone, for joining me. Thank you, Flory, for joining me as well. And we'll have you on again in the future. So everyone, thank you, and have a beautiful evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me on Sparking Change with Gigi. I hope that our episode today has ignited a spark within you to create positive change in your own life and in the world around you. To learn more about how you can become a guest or supporter, head over to sparkingchangenow.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to me, and it helps me to continue producing content that sparks change in each of us and the world. You can find us on various platforms, including Google Play Store, Apple App Store, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Android TV, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to having you join me again next week on Sparking Change with Gigi.